I wish good things to you who's watching this. I am Alexey, and we are even closer to the most decisive events of the individual qualifiers for the Carcassonne Champions League 2025. As we're gonna have two fights for their tournament lives. First of all, in the third round, the lower round of the first qualification, Meami of Germany versus Estroncio of Spain. So Germany versus Spain, almost like we're watching football. And after that, in qualification 3, which is meant for winners of international competitions, we're going to have pablobce of Argentina versus Bisson of Brazil. So Argentina and Brazil also, as if it is a football match. We could not have picked better countries to watch. So the first, let's talk a bit about the match that's going to happen in 3 minutes with Meami versus Estroncio. So that's the first qualification. Let's just have a look at the brackets. So Q1-2, I believe is the case. Yes. So we actually have watched these players already. We've seen how Meami managed to defeat the player who represented both Mexico and the United States, Daniel Ayala, and after that lost 2-0 to the British master with his queen named Lord Terrycloth. But they still have one tournament life. Remember, this is double eliminated format, so now they ended up over here. If they win today and the next two matches, then they will qualify for the main stage. Estroncio, in the meantime, lost to Ilya Slonimsky of Israel, which is a bit of an upset, I would say, in the first round. Then they quite confidently won against the French player with screen named Blitz. That's something that we all witnessed last week, and there they are. And so then after all, they would need to win yet another match, whoever wins today, to face the British master, Lord Terrycloth, who's already waiting in the consolidated final. And as for the forces today, I would say it's quite an even match. So normally Estroncio, who's the highest rated player in Spain, would be the favorite, but Meami's in really good shape. So hopefully they managed to recover from last week. Apparently they were having some health issues. And also, to be honest, my ever so slight sympathy today, because also last week, I think I misanalyzed an endgame, and they made a move which gave them a 50% chance, and I thought that was a 50% winning chance, and I thought that was a mistake because there was a 100% winning chance in the position, but there actually wasn't. So their move that gave them a 50% winning chance was in fact the best that they could do in that position. They just didn't get the tile. So this means that their endgame skills are really on point. And this is something that they will try and show to their Spanish opponent. Now, as for Pablo and Bisson, that's qualification 3. So Victor Bisson got here because Brazil won the Copa America earlier this year in spring. And Pablo got through winning one of the individual turn-based King of Carcassonne events. So here, not sure who the favorite is. It's going to be roughly an even matchup. Of course, I have certain sympathies there, as Victor Bisson happens to be the captain of the Brazilian Carcassonne club in which I'm playing in the Brazilian Carcassonne Championships. That's Piratas de Carcassonne. And out of his recent notable achievements, probably we'll have to pick reaching the semifinals of the individual online Carcassonne Championships of Brazil, which is an extremely competitive field. And he got there by defeating none other than the founder of Carcassonne Brazil and former world number 2, Melvin Quaresma, in the quarterfinals. So both these matches should be quite a bit of fun. But now let's have a look at the one which is supposed to start. In case there's any mishap, by the way, there's another match happening in parallel. So if you just go to the main page over here, wait, no, the main page. Also, at exactly the same time, Joubois or U-boats, depending on whether they're from the German or French-speaking part of Switzerland, will be playing against Ivan Bell of the Netherlands. So in case anything happens with the first match, we have a fallback. And we will be trying to keep an eye on the second match as well. Now, Meami and Estrontia were the first to submit their match times, which is why we're going to be watching them. Hi, Hugo. Hi, Mr. Destroyer. Hi, Pichan. As usual, do let me know in the chat who you're rooting for. And who you think you're gonna win, which is not always the same thing. So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna keep refreshing the page for a couple of minutes. Let's see if any of the opponents show up, and they did. So the game has been created. Estrontia are now the heavy rating favorites, so they got some of their shape back. I think they were rated in mid-1500s last week. But you know, if you play a lot of games, then rating can jump up and down a lot in a game that has a lot of variance. And it is the Spanish player with the green meeples who starts with the juicy shielded tile, and with the exact same tile, Meami with his blue meeples neutralizes his city. The first monastery of the game goes to green, and immediately another monastery goes to Meami. So very close start. Black equalizing, blue equalizing. We'll need now to decide on the placement. So he gets the 4-point monastery, but also leaves this 3-point road behind, which should statistically favor Estrontia, especially given the fact that green will be getting an extra monastery point from that road, but it is in fact Meami who managed to pick it up and get these 4 points. Estrontia is happy with a 2-point road that also gives him some scoring options as well. Alright, Meami now trying to attack a shared city, trying to conquer it with 2 Doritos, and Estrontia decides to take 2 points over here, but the main point of this turn is of course to try and create a attacking platform here, and he gets a fantastic tile as Meami gets a monastery. Estrontia gets a splitter tile to bail out of his part of the city to score 8 points and even leave this square still vulnerable. So German fans should be a little bit scared here, especially after this move. So he's threatening out to block with the next move, and Meami really needs to draw a curvy tile in order to defend. And he does not draw a curvy tile, but he really needs to go over here. And now he really needs to think, yes, and with the city side down, it is the better move. But I'm impressed how quickly he found that. So they are indeed slightly fewer blocking tiles for green with this orientation than opposed to the other one. So that must be something that they studied in advance. Meami continuing the monastery, 1 square away from finishing at least one of the monasteries. Estrontia finishes another city, drops a second farmer already to equalize the farmer of blue on the main field. Meami finishes a monastery, starts a new city. Lots of point scoring in this game, and also a nice bonus for blue that he draws one of the blocking tiles. One of the few, very few blocking tiles that are available for green. Hi Naleheim, hi Wise Maze, hi Glovier. Rooting for both, that of course is a very democratic thing to say, but we know that only one can survive. The tournament will be over for one of these players. Estrontia gets a monastery, both sides with both monasteries, both sides with 2 monasteries. He finishes this side over here and starts a new one. So 27-19 on the scoreboard, plus 8 for Estrontia. But what a great move here from Meami, managing to restrict the city over here, making it very difficult to block this square. But Estrontia just continues a city at the top, now going to get another shielded tile, starting a new city, advancing his scoreboard lead, so looking good for Spain. It's also looking pretty good for blue, this monastery move. That's certainly very nice. They managed to get the 9 points and meeple a new monastery to equalize the green monastery that's over here. A bit of a vulnerable square here, but green chooses not to attack it just yet. The reason for that is that there's still plenty tiles available that fit here, and also out of the high-rated players, Estronfe is one of the greediest and one of the ones which really like to score. I don't really like spend tiles on blocking, and sometimes why watching their games is so spectacular. Well, we haven't seen it today yet, but sometimes their greed can get a little extreme, especially in the opening of the game. They like meeple 1-point roads, a lot of 1-point cities, stuff like this. So far, it's sort of just normal quick points from both sides, +5 for Estroncio, who, I'm not sure who put this tile over here. I missed that. Honestly, either player could have done that, depending on their motivation. Definitely seems a move that is rather disruptive, so it looks something that Green would have done. And the reason why it looks disruptive is because there were still plenty of city cabs that fit into that square, but the Doritos with the road, it's something that Blues needs over here. And now Blue needs this Dorito in 2 places. And now a fantastic tile for Meami, as he is going to meeple the Monastery with his last meeple, but 7 points are totally worth it. And even giving a Stronte meeple back is totally worth it. He's still just 1 tile away from finishing the Monastery here, 1 tile away from finishing the city here, or 2 tiles away from finishing the city like this. And probably as Meami, ooh, now it's a tricky situation. Yeah, and look at this, he decides not to continue the Monastery over here. And finally, Estronfe draws the tile that I was going to talk about. So I was going to say that it's harder to block this square, but actually it's not impossible. So you see, Estronfe added 1 point to Meami, and he blocked his own city over here. But he also blocked Meami's city with 2 meeples as well. Oh, and now he's gonna block another pair of meeples. This has to hurt so bad for Meami. He's saying something, yeah, 3 parts, all dead. Well, there's still 1 meeple which is alive. But I'm pretty sure Estronfe is gonna take care of that soon. And if he does, I think this might be, in my over 2 years of streaming, the first game where we see all 7 meeples blocked. I don't remember this happened earlier. Estronfe apologizing, which he shouldn't. Absolutely shouldn't. Okay, but now the last meeple is blocked because there is no monastery that fits into this square. And now Blue can't win, mathematically. Blue cannot recover any of his meeples. Green has 3 meeples still in hand. And Blue does not have enough points to compensate for the scoreboard lead. So let's have a look. So Meami is 34 versus 54, that's 20 points. And he has 16 for the monasteries, 1 here, so that's 17. 5 for the city, that's 22. So he's like 2 points ahead, but look, like even with this stuff, Estronfe has already guaranteed the win. So the cool part about this is that now, doesn't matter how bad Estronfe plays, there isn't anything that he could possibly do to lose this game other than lose on time. Like, it's just mathematically impossible. I haven't seen a position like this in a tournament in a long time, possibly ever. Like, you try to think of the worst moves imaginable he can do, because the thing that works, not only are Blue's meeples blocked, but also they're in such positions that it's not even possible to add points to Blue's features. And Blue's field is already shared with Green, and Green cannot retire any of these meeples to lose this field. Green can only win this field if he so chooses. Oh, what an absolutely incredible start. Alright, hi David. So let me just catch up on the chat a little bit as players make seemingly meaningless moves. I mean, I would still, of course, as a Estronfe, just try to score. Yeah, he does meeple he meeples a field, sets up a road. Now he's gonna take the road. A very nice sequencing by the Spaniard. Meami gets a city, and Estroncio. Oh, look at this! Respect for Meami for actually still trying to play for the end. So what this move did, it blocked the 5-point road for Stroncio, and so Stroncio ends up with just 3 points. Of course, the point difference is completely inconsequential for the outcome of the game or for anything, but it certainly shows a certain competitive attitude to still trying to find the best move, regardless of the of whether the outcome has been decided or not. Yeah, so the score is going to be massive. We're going to see that in a second. Ooh, that was an interesting question from Nalaheim. If Meami gets a dagger that Estroncio needs for his city, should he ever put it there and guarantee himself the 3 Doritos for a chance of completing his own city? So the question was, yeah, so look at this, 41 point difference. So before this tile was placed here, before this was actually blocked, if Meami were to get a dagger tile that goes here, should Meami actually finish Estroncio's city just to give himself a chance to get a Dorito tile? So basically that would be temporarily giving your opponent 8 points, but making sure that you can still get out these 2 meeples alive with a really good chance. And it really depends a lot on when you draw them, but I guess a short answer to this question would be no. It will also depend on the run out of tiles. So for example, how many cows are there remaining by that time? How many horses, rather, that could block, or how many Doritos there are remaining at that point. But I think that Meami was a bit behind on the scoreboard too, so he wasn't in a position to try and do such a thing. So he actually would need to draw the Dorito before his opponent draws a cow tile. And that's an even flip. It's basically like very close to 50-50 chance. Just a slight favorite, Estroncio, of course, was to block this city. So yeah, Wise Maze. I consider farmers blocked meeples as well. They can be very hard at work, but if you can't get your meeple back, it doesn't necessarily matter if it's a monk or a farmer or a highwayman, to use the terms from the original rule box, which are not that popular on the competitive scene. Alright, see. To prevent the block, should this triangle have been turned into Green City? Ooh, that's interesting. Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, actually, I really like this idea. If you were to turn the triangle the other way, then if Meami were to if Estroncio were to get this horse tile, then there would be a threat of Meami getting another horse tile and putting it over here and unifying the city with 2 meeples together with the green city with 1 meeple, thus eating up the green's 1 meeple, scoring a solid 10 points and renewing the threat of completing the city. And if green were to draw the Dorito first, then green would put this over here. So imagine there's a Dorito here, there's a Dorito with the road, and this would leave still Meami a nice chance to draw the 2 Doritos that fit into this city. And this would still leave Meami a chance to place a tile over here and block the square and not allow Estroncio to get a meeple back. Yeah, this actually would have been a really, really nice find by Glovir here. So, well spotted. So I really like that move, so maybe Meami should have thought a little bit longer about that one. Yeah, because it felt like an intuitive move, and intuitively, Meami's move also made sense to me. Wow, look at how many tiles they're playing. We've just barely finished talking about that position as half the game has gone by. I'll get to the new position in just a second, but intuitively, Meami's move made a lot of sense to me, but in order to actually figure out which move is best, you really need to visualize all those possible outcomes, and it's something that can take a minute, because it's not a pattern that occurs very often. Alright, so the second game is also super eventful, super high scoring. Estroncio again ahead on the scoreboard, but Meami has some really nice monasteries. And look at this, Meami just managed to capture this long road. Now gets another long road, creates some vulnerability next to Green's monasteries. Overall, a really even game, but this 2-point move from Estroncio prevents Meami from completing his city soon. That should be considered extremely annoying by Meami and any German fans. Estroncio, with a city cap, facing a dilemma whether to go over here and attack the city, which I wouldn't do necessarily. Probably just going here and getting the meeple back is fine enough, because meeples will matter later in the game, as we have a really big field brewing, currently occupied by one green farmer. But Green decides that he really doesn't need meeples, and I'm not sure I agree here. I guess what this move does is it's really cautious. It's basically saying that I'm winning, and I want to prevent you from drawing a splitter and finishing your city. But the splitter is not the only possible disaster outcome. Well, actually, even if Meami draws a splitter now, he could still go here and manage to successfully overrun the city, or at least now he manages to block the square, making sure that the green meeple is trapped with 1 point, whilst the blue meeple is also trapped, but with 6 points, which is a winning mini battle. And in a close game, when we have complete equality on the scoreboard, this 5-point difference should matter. But this move by the German is why I really wanted to finish the monastery as green here. So this move now completely blocks both of monasteries, because both monasteries have, both road monasteries have gone out. And it also blocks a farmer trying to invade the main field. And look at how tables have turned. Last game, it was Estroncio who blocked all Meami's meeples, and now Meami's en route to blocking all Estroncio's meeples. So this guy's blocked, this guy blocked, this guy blocked. Well, the farmer, of course, is blocked, this guy blocked. So, yep, 5 blocked meeples, still Estroncio has 2. And Meami has still 2 meeples to work with. These, actually 3, so these 2 guys are still live, plus the 1 in hand. Of course, Meami blocked his 2 monasteries, but that was necessary because Green was threatening to finish a sizable 18-point city, not something that we want to allow ever. Looks like we're going to be soon even in blocked meeples, as Meami is making a bit of a risky move, a greedy move, taking 4 points instead of connecting on the field. You know what? You don't do it soon enough. We're running out of tiles that fit here. And Estroncio goes for the farm straight away. Honestly, as Meami, I would have probably chickened out of these 4 points. I would have just connected to the farm. And even though I am normally really, really aggressive when it comes to scoring, just because it feels that Meami, once he got the meeple advantage, could really try and simply overrun the field in order to win, and the 4 points could be inconsequential when it comes to determining the winner in this game. But let's see if I'm proven right or not, as it's now the Germans' turn to lose meeples, as Estroncio managed not only to drop a farmer to try and reclaim the majority on the field, but also to completely block the square, because none of the 3 horse tiles are no longer available, because there they are already on the board. So that's some nice quick tile counting from the Spaniard. Estroncio with the city cap, as Meami successfully connects to the field. Now it's 1-1, but Green is approaching from the bottom. Blue is really not getting a meeple any time back soon. He still has the city project, but at least 4 tiles necessary to finish that, and I'm pretty sure that the Spaniard will try to insert some thorns into the city and make sure that this meeple does not see the lights of day. City cap for the Spaniard. Now, for the first time in this game, thinking for more than 3 seconds. Hi, Sergey. Good to know that the background noise is gone. Hi, Blitz. I appreciate any puns in the chat. So yes, of course, the players are playing Blitz now, and Estroncio played the player with the screen name Blitz last week, and now also dropping yet another farmer, preparing, because you see, he already knows that Meami is about to block this guy, and he did, so Estroncio just dropped another one, and he doesn't care that this is his last meeple, because the field is just this important. Meami with quick 4 points, now urgently needs to find a platform to reinvade the field, because I believe Meami's points elsewhere are not enough to compensate for the farm, although I didn't do precise counting. Alright, so can we find an invasion platform? He chooses to invade through the outside of a curve. Is there a curve remaining? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's one. And are there crossroads to cut him off? No, there are not. So, okay, Meami now probably will defend, and this game will come down to a 50-50. And Estroncio does not draw the curve, which means that Meami must have it in hand. Extremely quick tile counting from the German and really nicely spotted field connection. So it looked like we're headed for a tied match. As we're tied on the scoreboard, Meami invades the field. The field is also tied at 2 points. Both players have blocked monasteries, but Meami has ever so slightly more city points. Remember this blocked city over here? I told you that in a close game, this mini battle could matter, and I believe this is what's going to decide the outcome. Please do not spoil the outcome in the chat if you have been already refreshing the page. I certainly prefer to keep this suspense. Yeah, thank you for the quick notifications. If there's ever background noise appears again, please let me know, because that's easily fixable. Oh, isn't that nice? Look at this 2-point win from Meami. So this means that that blocked city in the center, with the 6 versus 1, so the 5-point mini battle, it totally mattered. So congratulations to the German. I'm also impressed at the speed of this play finding. So the match is tied at 1-1. Of course, a reminder to everybody of you that this is a best of 3, and we're headed to a decider. So this time it is Estroncio starting with 4 points. Meami chooses not to meeple the city over here. It's an interesting theoretical debate. So actually, I've had the reigning Azul champion, Sunny, 369, come to my place, and we did analyze Carcassonne openings a lot, and there was the big question of whether to meeple the city or not, and the theoretical consensus is to meeple it. And what we tried to figure out is actually how bad is it not to meeple it. So we played a lot of games where we would have this starting position, and sometimes we would have a meeple here, and sometimes we wouldn't. And actually, as it turned out, the difference is pretty marginal. So as you see in this game, well, actually, no, in this game, I think Meami will bear some consequences for not meepling the city, because Estroncio manages to get there first. But the theoretical idea behind not meepling it is the fact that it's not, like, if you meeple it with a city cap, it's not the most lucrative city, so there's still time to attack it. But the problem with Meami now is that despite his very nice 6-point monastery already, he did get into a losing mini battle with his 2-point road, sticking into the 3-point city and expansion potential for the city for his opponent. And you see, so now he's forced to use a very nice city tile to get his meeple back. And with some good tile runouts, a couple of Doritos here and there, in some scenarios, Estroncio even gets to run away with the city. But yeah, I really want to talk about this move a little bit more. So Meami attacks Estroncio's city. Estroncio starts a road, so players do exchange more scoring moves. Estroncio attaches a road end to one part of his road, while the other one's still open. Meami is trying to start a new city and severely restrict one of the squares on the Estroncio's city. The Spaniard, what he's gonna do? Maybe over here? Okay, I slightly prefer the other placement. maybe not giving back a monastery spot. Now, well, but of course, what does that matter if you're the one who draws the monastery? So, Estronfe, with some inspiration, it's always very nice, like when you make a move that leaves an empty feature on the board, which is normally like not the best thing to do, but you end up winning the coin flip and actually grabbing that feature yourself. So it's always feels like a big brain situation. Meami, in the meantime, finishes a really nice city at the right, as Stronthe's city here, still finishable, but considerably restricted, because he is going to need a dagger and a starting tile that fits into the square. Interestingly, Meami chooses not to block, at his peril, actually. So he continues his monastery, as Stronfe, of course, immediately adds a point over here. And, again, Meami does not block Green City because he knew that he's just going to win the coin flip. He's going to draw the last starting tile, so he doesn't even have to block anything because there's no tile sequence remaining in the deck that could fill these two squares. You could fill still either one of these squares as green, but not both. Still, 6 points for the ruin. It's not that bad, and just really only a couple tiles invested over here. Estrontheus surprisingly... Wait! Is that a miss? Is he still hoping he can finish the city? Because I'm really surprised about that move. I don't think that's a very good move by Estrontheo. It does create a blocking platform against this city, but it also restricts scoring opportunities. In a close game, Estronfe might need to place a Dorito or a shielded Dorito here, because there is a big chance that this square is going to get blocked, and now he kind of restricts his city a little bit, so I wonder if that was simply a miscount or not. Meami is still unperturbed, continues his city, already 42 points on the scoreboard for the German, and yes, now we know for sure that Estronfe has miscounted tiles. He would not be placing this city cap had he actually... because the only way you can explain this move is the hopes of completing this city. But look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4. All 4 starting tiles have gone out, make no mistake. And I think it's just a visual mistake because these 2 starting tiles are close together. And I have a suspicion that David must have counted them as just one. So, of course, a far superior move by the Spaniard was going over here, giving himself a monastery point and a city point and renewing the threat of completing over here, rather than giving 1 point over here for the ruin and also damaging himself, because now he cannot expand this ruin. Before that, he could still have drawn a horse tile to get 2 extra points, and then maybe a Dorito, a quadruple city tile, so there was still some chance, but now he cannot do that. So yeah, that's a very unfortunate miss. So that's what playing Blitz gets to you. So the German's certainly very comfortable with that speed. We saw him play an impeccable endgame last game, finding a good coin flip opportunity and then winning it. But in this game, it appears that the German is really taking advantage of the clock. And so again, as a Spaniard, like if you notice that, you don't allow your opponent to play at the comfortable pace. Like, you need to slow down here. And also at some point you have to realize that you messed up with the big city, that this guy is no longer finishable, and then you also need to make sure that you don't let it get to you psychologically. Still extremely tough situation. Minus 24 on the scoreboard, minus 2 on meeples, and also blue invading green city over here. So it seems that green really needs the splitter over here to keep the 12 points for the city for himself. Meami is now probably going to go here to invade even further, and also to try and block his farmer, or block the city, sort of to prevent dropping a splitter. Stronfe takes 2 points and really tries to keep this square alive. There was really a nice strong move from the Spaniard. Meami just keeps scoring. chooses to drop a farmer, which is a move which is tactically okay, but I have profound disagreements with this move strategically because it's unnecessary. So there are some scenarios how the farmers could get connected and this guy could get eaten up, but maybe after this move it's a bit less likely, and if anything, Meami is probably happy with a 6-point meeple over here. The main field is still not that big. It's it's going to be 12 points, especially after Meami blocks this square successfully, so Stronthio cannot draw a splitter anymore. And this is blocked, but most importantly, the big threat of the Stronthio getting 12 point and a meeple back has been neutralized. Now let's see what Meami does here. Could simply continue his city. He could still continue his field fight by going over here. I don't think he should do that. The move that wins you the game easiest is just the one that leaves the field alone. But let's see what he does. I know that like a more German style of playing is definitely like prioritizing the field, almost like a matter of honor. So, and I know especially that Meami cares about fields more than other players. He sees space very well. He sees entry points of the field, sometimes to his detriment, as there were a couple of games that he may or may not have thrown by fighting for a field when having a big lead on the scoreboard, then losing a field and losing by like 3 points. So this has happened on a couple of occasions. But here, I don't really think that he can lose this even if he tries. And given also how long he's thinking, which is unusual for him, he's probably actually just trying to assess his win condition. Yeah, and look at this. He decides that if he just leaves this field alone, he cannot possibly lose this game. Because if you were to place this tile over here, then the Stronthio can get maybe like a monastery, then get a meeple back, and then drop a farmer here, and then connect with another curve, and then gain a 18-point field. But now none of that is possible. Hi, Lucas. Well, the Brazilian flag is because a Brazilian is playing in 10 minutes. We're having 2 matches today. Oh yeah, thank you. That's already been answered in the chat. Well, Lucas, not only does Brazil have... Well, I'm not sure if you can hold professional Carcassonne players, but Brazil has just an really vibrant Carcassonne community to the point that even in 4 schools in São Paulo, Carcassonne strategy is taught as an elective school subject. And probably Brazil has more Carcassonne experts than any other country. I'm not sure if Japan could be a close second. Yeah, so definitely... I forgot the names of the actual schools. If you're interested, the teacher who teaches at this school, it's a Portuguese teacher who plays Carcassonne. That was kind of his initiative to start. I can find you his board game arena screen name and put you in touch, so he could answer your question. His name is Josuel Santos, I believe. Alrighty, but the Brazil is not playing just yet. Not for another 10 minutes actually. So far, it's still Germany and Spain, and it looks like Germany will prevail in this one. Even though Stronthio is fighting until the end, and he has these monasteries for like 13 points, and the field for 12 points, and this ruin, it's all great. It's just not enough to overcome the difference on the scoreboard. The completed monasteries by Meami were just too much. Yeah, so Stronthio is indeed saying grats because he is counting points and knows that it's not going to be particularly close. And the former captain of Team Germany in the World Team Carcassonne Online Championships is moving to the next round, and quite surprisingly, we need to say goodbye at this early stages to one of the most spectacular players there is on the Carcassonne competitive scene, to David Stronthio Garcia. Only 11-point difference, by the way, so it was a bit closer than one might think. Nalaheim, wait, did Stronthio reach the playoffs last year of the Carcassonne Champions League? Because this one I might have... I don't remember quite all the playoff... Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. So yeah, he ended up scoring at least in the top 8 in the main stage of the tournament, and this time didn't manage to make to the main stage. But, I mean, you saw, you know, the Germans and their farming, very efficient. Even though Meami in this game won, not because of farming, but he did one in the first one, or in the second one, rather. So yeah, so that's how the German manages to turn it around after losing with a 40-point difference in the first game and losing all of his 7 meeples, something that has barely, if ever, happened on stream. I believe never. He manages to make the comeback. Alrighty, and we still have 7 minutes before the next match, so I suggest that we catch up a little bit on the other match that is going on. To be honest, I thought that this match would last a little bit longer, so I didn't even bother adding the other match to the scoreboard. But let's just have a bit of a look at how Ivan Bell is doing against the first-timer from Switzerland. So we can see that he won the first game, and the players are now in the middle of their second. And it looks very good for the Netherlands. Even though, of course, I believe that many of you will have their sympathies with the Swiss player, because it's always nice to see new countries do well. But recently we had quite a lot of players from new countries eliminated, so a Bulgarian player eliminated on stream just a couple of days ago. Now it may be a Swiss player to follow suit. Alrighty, so let's try making sense of this position. So, 25 points for the Dutch player with the red meeples. What does green have as compensation? Well, not much. Okay, he does have this road, which could give him a meeple back. He has some fields, which is nice. A couple of inconsequential blocked meeples here and there. And there's a shared city here on the left, which should be blocked now by Ivan. The reason why it should be blocked, well, first of all, because this square is not only part of the city, it's also part of Green's monastery, which is worth 8 points. And given the fact that Green has only 1 meeple, we really want to put the pressure and not allow Green to get easy meeples back. So by placing over here, we'll be restricting... Oh, no, this cannot possibly be correct. So we definitely see a massive misstep, and a really surprising misstep here from the Dutch player who has already played for the Netherlands in the World Carcassonne Online Championships. Because the reason for this move is not only to almost completely block the monastery, it is also to prevent Joubois from drawing something like, well, drawing something that Ivan just drew, yeah? Because what Ivan can do, he can now just go over here, attack the city, and then hope for one of the 2 remaining Doritos to overrun the city with 2 meeples versus 1. But the problem of not blocking the square earlier was the fact that the Swiss player could have drawn the same sequence with a city cap plus Dorito and then recaptured this city for like 20 points, and then it would already be green in the driver's seat. Also, of course, it's a very nice draw for the Dutchman because... no, never mind. It's the wrong kind of dagger. So there is only one dagger remaining, which goes like this. So the right-handed dagger. And they would just... drawing it would certainly make it easier to block the square. But now I believe... Okay, so really risky, just wants to completely ignore that city. I see the point of this move. So he's thinking that he doesn't want to attack, because, you know, what's the point of risking? I can get stuck with 1 point. By the way, the attack would have worked. He did draw the last Dorito, and he would have already just won 22 points from the city, I believe. So instead... Red chose to expand his farm. There's this farmer worth only 3 points because there's only one completed city on the farm. So he said, okay, let me just start another farmer over here. But the thing is, like, at this stage of the game, it doesn't matter if you have a 3-point farmer or a 6-point farmer that much. When you are in the lead, then you have a very clear win condition. You don't really need to score much more. You need to prevent your opponent from scoring. And up until this move that finished Joubois' monastery, it was still possible for green to overrun the city and come back into this game. Now it would be way, way harder, as Ivan will be probably scoring an additional 4 points for this road over here, or at least 2 points for this road over here. So yeah, Ivan just chooses to add 2 points to his already blocked city on the left, or semi-blocked city on the left. No, it's completely blocked because there's nothing that fits onto the square anymore. All of these types of tiles have already gone out. 4 quick points for the road for the Swiss player, and Ivan can now drop yet another farmer. Chooses to simply finish his city and start a new one. This farm is already worth 6 points, which matches 6 points from here. And as a result of completing this monastery, the Swiss player is creeping closer and closer on the scoreboard, but this ruin will be just a bit too much to overcome. Maybe some more quick points can be scored. That would be nice. There's a 6-point farmer here, which could turn into a 9-point farmer with a simple curve by adding this city to the farm as well. But other than that, really not too many options for the Swiss player. Oh, there is one. Farmer. The reason why a farmer would have been such a great idea is because... Well, first of all, we're losing as green. We need to risk hard. And there's still at least one city cap that fits into that square. And we can hope that we're going to draw that city cap. We're going to score 6 points. Yeah, look at this. For example, this one. So there are actually 2 city caps that fit there. So that we're going to score 6 points for the city, 3 points for this farmer, 3 points for the other farmer, and we're going to get a road and get 2 9-point farmers. So actually with that sequence, the Swiss player would be coming surprisingly close to equalizing. Now, also, they did miss out on a 6-point farmer as well. And now I presume that Ivan's going to take this 6-point field with a further threat of expanding it to 9. Because there's still a barbed wire tile available, but it is drawn by the Swiss player who gets 7 points from his field, 4 points for the city, 3 points for the farmer. But Ivan gets the vanilla city cap for an even more devastating 10-point moves, 4 points for the city, 3 points for this farmer, 3 points for this farmer, and the score will be quite unpleasant for all our Swiss fans. So now, of course, Jebois or Jubos should go here and place this tile like this to score a 6-point field, which would be his highest scoring move, but I'm not sure if there are any other opportunities in this position. Yeah, I presume that this player is not from the Italian part of Switzerland, because Italian doesn't really have J's in it. Not sure about Romansh. But it doesn't look like a Romansh word. One minute and 50 seconds on Green's clock here. I think I know what he's thinking about. Maybe instead of taking these 6 points straight away, he's thinking of a way of sneaking into the farm, or at least into one of the 2 farms, and scoring 9 points. But he's probably better off taking 6 points here, and then maybe like 4 points for the city. There's a city tile, yeah, and he decides to do that. Also, another important aspect of this move is to actually not leave the 6-point fields behind for your opponent to grab. So now, for example, Ivan cannot go here and grab this field, and he's now forced to settle for a lesser move. 4 points for this road over here. But not that he's going to have any issues with that, because he will be winning this game. Let's see if we can actually add them on the scoreboard in the meantime. Let's just put round 3 here to make this a little bit shorter. Yeah, maybe just the scoreboard a little bit short. All right, maybe we can just leave it as it is. Especially since we saw such a small part of the match. Yeah, maybe something like this. Already we know that the second match has started, and Wiseman is saying 4 tiles played, first field meeple by the Brazilian. What else would they expect? Of course. There is indeed a school of thought, and the co-founder of Carcassonne Brazil, Melvin Quaresma, definitely had a lot to do with that, of popularizing this sort of strategy. We're going to see how that plays out in a second, but first we need to congratulate Ivan Bell for making it to the next stage of qualification 2, and unfortunately we need to say goodbye to Jubos of Switzerland. Yes, so Belivan will still have work cut out for him. He probably will need to win 3 games in a row, if I'm not mistaken, after this in order to qualify. 3 matches in a row after. But in the meantime, we will be proceeding to our highlight of the day. Qualification 3 for international tournament winners. So this will not be a very impartial stream, because a reminder that Besson is the captain of the Brazilian Carcassonne club, for which I'm playing in their national team championship. So I have to root for him in order to not get kicked off the team. Pablo starts a monastery. And he cannot use the usual stacking approach because this square here is sensitive. So this is already quite the gain for Bisson, and what you will often see. Let's see if my prediction turns true. I think that neither of these monasteries will be blocked, but only one of them will be completed because Pablo simply won't have enough time to build up here and to build up here. This is something that very often happens with disjointed monasteries, but they still give a lot of points. So now finally a monastery for the Brazilian as well, and he goes up top, and I think he does that, and he does that to not only score the monastery, but also to try and do something about that critical square, because if he manages to block that square, well, he won't, then red would not have been able to place that move, and red would not have been able to block black city. So now, not a great situation for the play with the black meeples, as he meeples the monastery over here, which may or may not be a misstep, maybe? I would have probably preferred over here to equalize, but it's a very tricky decision. If anything, at least black is doing alright on the scoreboard once he completes this 8-point city. Yeah, so this farmer with 6 points is doing okay because there's still plenty of green squares for expansion. Somebody's going to draw a crossroad tile to go over here. He's going to get all these green squares. So at the end, when you drop an early farmer like this, then you win a tempo, because this means that later on you don't need to spend a tile on just dropping a farmer. You can, you know, score points in other means. And it also means that if you take this early farm, if it later proves valuable, in order to equalize, Pablo would need to spend 2 tiles, let's say, like, so I don't know, here and here to invade. And if you can accomplish the same goal with 1 move, of course it's better than spending 2 moves on that. But interesting, so this square is about to get blocked, or at least it did get partially blocked. There's only 1 tile that's in the game that fits there, so it's a 50-50 situation. And even though black's not going to expand his field at the bottom, he's absolutely happy to block the square, because that would in no likelihood trap Pablo's road. Now, a really tricky move for Bisson, and he chooses to try and block Pablo's city instead of invading it. He knows that it's his last meeple, so he's really trying to kind of play against the meeples of Pablo to not give him a chance to get an easy meeple back. I don't think he'll be able to easily block all of them, or at least he managed to restrict the square quite significantly. Pablo's going to draw a defense, leaving 2 tiles remaining that fits into that square, but suddenly this square is a bit more vulnerable, and Bisson chooses to do nothing about this, which I really don't like. Well, I guess this move does play against this road over here, but when your opponent is without meeples, like a move like this was way more annoying. He does choose to block this square, but you know, this meeple of red, even though it wasn't blocked, the chances of this city being finished is fairly low anyway. So it feels like these 3 should be the primary targets of black. And the Brazilian player is indeed also playing quite fast on the clock. I hope that they're doing this because they're thinking during Pablo's time, and who is taking his time quite a lot. And now he will be getting a meeple back. He's just choosing which. He chooses to get this in what he thinks is the more vulnerable spot. So he gets a meeple back. He also gets an extra monastery point. Gets a good chance to complete that monastery as well. The downside, he is leaving an attacking platform against this guy. And of course, there's still the chance of this road meeple getting blocked. But not a high chance, actually, because first of all, Victor would need to draw the quadruple city tile that fits here. And then he would need to draw a curve which would add the 2 points, which would add 3 points to red, but it would make sure that red's road actually curves in to that block square. And on top of that, okay, this was definitely a miss here by Victor. I really don't like that move. It really doesn't do a lot. It doesn't score. It barely blocks, given that there's still two crossroads remaining and plenty of curves in the event that Pablo draws the quadruple road tile. It was far more important to play against this city at the bottom. Yeah, because I think it's... I'm kind of surprised about that move. So Victor continues his city at the top, and Pablo now finishes his city at the bottom, which was made possible by Besson's ignoring this. So so far it looks like my dear captain needs to get his priorities straight. Now the situation is way more pleasant for the Brazilian, as Pablo's going to finish a 10-point city early enough and not drop a farmer. Oh, the reason why he's not dropping a farmer is because Besson does not have meeples, but he's going to have meeples soon enough. So as Pablo, I would just go ahead and do it. Even now, you can go ahead, drop a farmer. Like, it's going to be a good field. Black has still something going for him. There are some good monasteries here. If they are completed soon enough, he will score pretty well. Pablo's thinking a lot with this dagger tile. And he decides to go for a blocking attack. But this could backfire, because if Victor gets a tile soon that goes here, he could be the one to drop a farmer. Let's see if he does this. Not with this tile. So probably a point scoring move here would be very nice to get 3 points and also restrict this farmer. He could also go here and score 3 points and add a point to his city, but I believe that this move is actually superior. Not the easiest decision, just because these cities can still be finished with city caps. It's a bit harder now, as Pablo's taking 4 extra points for the city and creating a blocking platform against this square. Victor gets a straight line, use it for defense. But now Pablo will finally go here and drop a farmer, or will he? He could also go for the road. But it looks like dropping a farmer is important, because you don't want your opponent to get a city cap and get easy 12 field points immediately. Or maybe Pablo decided he can block. Let's see, how many curves are there remaining? 1, 2, 3, 6. So plenty. So what if we turn it the other way, and then we leave way fewer tiles for black to get his meeple back? It's something that we could consider on a later move as red, but here probably this main field is a priority. He goes for the blocking. I profoundly disagree. And this is something that Besson needs to ignore and just score 4 points. How about a farmer? Oh, maybe we're going to see an inspired move. Do it. If you're going to make this defense move, then just do it. The reason why I don't... So, why initially maybe not a huge fan of not taking these 4 points is just because of the scoreboard lead of Pablo. So this move makes it much harder for red to block this city, but I'm not sure if we can afford this point sacrifice. Red gets another monastery, Besson gets a curve and a meeple back, and now this farmer can actually work out well. Especially if Besson gets both of these city cap, this could be a 15-point field impenetrable. Yeah, that's why so Pablo... I mean, honestly, this could be like the move of the game if it works out. Because Pablo had so many chances to drop a farmer here. If anything, he could have just gone here with the curve and dropped a red farmer on this side and have his cake and eat it too. Both create a blocking platform against black and get the 9 points for the field. Pablo, with a curve, probably needs to do some simple scoring. I don't think he can really has the luxury to do anything else. Maybe just here for a 6-point road, still plenty of road tiles remaining. And crossroad tiles as well, so it's possible to finish this road in a variety of ways. You can make a loop, you can even get a farmer here and invade through a curve, or you can just get a normal road end. In the meantime, the players have equalized on meeples due to the second monastery of Pablo. Pablo continues his city at the bottom. Besson probably is going to now take these 4 points because this road has been successfully separated. Or will he go over here to try and get more of his monasteries back? I actually prefer the 4-point move, and I'll tell you why in a second. Well, first of all, it does give these extra green squares, and second, it preserves the chances of completing this monastery here with a curve, and the curve would also expand the field significantly because this city and potentially this city could be joining this 6-point farmer of black. Red, with yet another curve, now needs to make a decision. Do we just score a couple of points, try and complete one of the monasteries, or do we go here, try to make it a bit harder for black to finish his monasteries, or do we go here and try to gamble a little bit and finish this road with a straight line? The last move's probably not the best one, but it's a possibility. Two minutes on the Argentinian's clock. So there is no simple straight line, just one starting tile. So then bending this, thank you Wise Maze for confirming that. So then bending this word with this road inward would not work. How do we quickly still run out of straight lines? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, like intuitively it doesn't look that they're finished up, they're just so scattered across different parts of the board. That really didn't seem the case. One of the things that I'm trying to do with tile counting lately is instead of counting the tiles one by one, just try to like look at the overall picture and kind of with one glance estimate the number of the tiles estimate the number of a particular tile. And very often it is just as correct as actually counting manually one by one. So of course in a real tournament I would do both, but in Blitz, for example, these estimates help quite a bit. Besson, with an interesting tile. So I have quite a variety of options here. So we could start a new city, which seems to be the standard move, and he decides to do that. There are indeed a couple of city caps that are remaining that could help him to finish the city. He can still get the monastery meeples back. The only downside of that move is that in the event that he draws a crossroads, and there's still one of these guys remaining, he cannot get quick points. And if he gets the barbed wire tile, when he finishes his city, he cannot get these 3 points. But he could still get one of the two remaining vanilla caps, for example. 1, 2, 3. So I see 2 remaining still. And Pablo now needs to decide, does he want to try and block this? And he says he does. Now a decision for Besson. He does get the meeple back. He will be missing out on 3 points. But he does have the scoreboard lead now. The 9-point farm. The monasteries are equal. Okay, so Pablo will now equalize on the scoreboard, presumably if he finishes this road, or he might want to go over here just to snatch some city quick points. I don't think it's worth it. Probably the road points here could be a little bit better. Or he might go over here trying to run away with a 10-point city himself. No, he decided he's going to need meeples. He just gets a 10-point city back. He just gets his road meeple back. Besson threatens a 12-point city. Pablo starts a new city by himself, threatens to complete it and drop a farmer. Of course, Black will immediately go either over here or over here to thwart that. He just needs to count tactically which side is better. And of course, there was a super important move. Had he not done that, Red would have completed an 8-point city, dropped a farmer, all likelihood connected, and probably won the game. So it's super important to do these preventing moves. And the idea of this move is that if there were... Oh, actually, there is a starting tile that still fit there. So there's still one city cap in this that fits in this square. That even if Red were to get this, at the very least, there would be no farming platform for him. So Red would be just getting the city points, but he would not be able to equalize these 12 field points. But with this tile over here, Pablo did not just finish his road. He created himself a possible platform to try and connect to the field like this. Instead, he chooses not to use it, and he decides to just threaten the completion of a city. But it's Victor who completes the city at the top, drawing the last city plus road tile. 12 points for the Brazilian, and it looks like he has managed to successfully turn this game around. Interesting. The interesting point, Wiseman, is that there's actually a possibility to invade here from a farmer, so that this move created a field attacking platform on the top that Pablo could take advantage of with some road tiles. But the reason why I still like this move is the fact that this field is already exposed on... Wait, what am I doing? Okay, I really misread the field. I thought that there was some potential invasion platform over here, but there isn't. Yeah, because I thought that, Pablo must have finished his road like this for a reason, but no, this wasn't the case. And yeah, now, of course, Victor managed to take 4 points, eliminate the connection platform, and with that, he should be able to win this game convincingly. Also, now a nice way for him to get a couple of monastery points and expand his field. Will he meeple this road for 4 points? Maybe? No, not necessarily. Because he can meeple the 6-point field at the end. Yeah, so that's a slight miss for Besson, but he will be okay with that. It actually will end up costing him 2 points, which should not be consequential. Yeah, of course, the idea why it was a miss, he meepled a 4-point road, whereas he should have saved his meeple for a 6-point farm on the next move, which was accessible with either of the remaining tiles. I think it was just a case that he didn't want to count, because sometimes if you get a city plus road tile, if there were one remaining, it would be one which would be not possible to place into that square. And again, as we expect, the Brazilian with the farms manages to outscore the Argentinian. And honestly, yeah, I agree with you all in the chat. So Nalaheim is saying a classic situation where one player refuses to take the lucrative field first, and then afterwards want to attack it via unlikely ways. Yeah, honestly, like in the middle of the game, Pablo had so many chances to win, and he could have meepled this field many, many times. So typically, a rule of thumb in Carcassonne, in one-on-one competitive Carcassonne, is that like if a field is worth, it has 2 cities on it, then you might take it. If it has 3 cities of more, 95% of the time you have to take it. And yeah, the Brazilian ended up really working well spatially. So this move did turn out to be move of the game, the protection of the city, and meepling the farm in such a way that prevents easy farming invasions. So just excellent spatial vision, even though I was a bit skeptical at first of this move, but given the state of the game was completely justified. This early farm of his last meeple ended up what made the difference in this game. And then, of course, towards the end, scoring some cities cemented Black's lead in the further. So, really nice turnaround. So, that's why Besson is the captain of his team. All right, so now 2 chances, well, 1 chance rather, for Pablo to turn this around. Game 2, reminder that this is a best of 3. The Argentinian, who is currently outrating Besson, will, I believe, be first in this game. He already has 4 points. How did this work? Red, black. No. Red, black. Red, black. Oh, no, actually, I believe black was first, no? Again. Black, red, black, red, black, red, black. Yeah, so it was Victor who was first. So he actually had the starting player advantage. Pablo now starting a new city. He'll be happy to take those extra scoreboard points. Besson starting a new city as well, also preserving some slight chances of maybe drawing a splitter here if he has to separate from the smaller city of Pablo. Red continues the city at the bottom. Now Victor has some interesting moves. So probably he could go over here at the top. Ooh, he goes the other way. Going here at the top would preserve some chances of drawing one of the 2 remaining cow tiles that would fit over here, and that would allow the unification of all the cities, and he would have gotten it. And now, not an easy... Yeah, now exactly what do you do with this tile? Then you probably have to do something silly like going over here. But, yeah, maybe you go over here, and then you try to draw a straight road, block the square, have a slightly winning mini battle. But then what could happen if these 2 roads are separated, then this square becomes vulnerable, and in some scenarios this black meeple ends up being trapped while this red meeple is getting out alive. And so one of the things about Carcassonne on this level, one of the ways to improve your position is to make sure that any of the possible tiles that you can draw, you will have a productive use in the future, or at least you want to maximize the number of tiles that you can use productively. So, of course, this one is a bit an unfortunate move because he can't use it productively, and in fact, he places it in a way which is a bit counterproductive for black, because it creates a monastery spot. It increases the vulnerability of this square, which favors red more than it favors black. But even after the city tile being turned over here, as black, I still would have preferred this move, and we also know that it would have now disallowed this city connection over here. Now also a slight tactical miss. I'm really surprised about this. So of course I really like the black meeple with monastery, but it was better to turn the road to the left, simply because... Actually, I take that back. It's roughly the same. Because the reason why I thought this wasn't the case is because I didn't see this tile on the board. There's an equal number of left-handed daggers and right-handed daggers available, so this doesn't matter that much. But actually, no, I still think that the other one is better, and I'll tell you why. If you turn it to the left, then when you draw a horse tile or a barbed wire tile, so any of the 6 tiles that can allow you to score 2 points for the road, he would be adding an extra monastery point without adding a city point to red. So the move with the road to the left was after all more precise. Black now drawing more monasteries. But again, I do have some doubts about this placement as well, because it's almost just banking on drawing the splitter. Because if you don't draw the splitter, let's say if red draws the splitter soon, then now we have 2 meeples tied to the square as opposed to red's 1. So we kind of need to get the Dorito tile here. And then in order to continue the monasteries, we need to invest tiles into shared cities, which gives us net 0 points for the cities, and we need to use good city tiles to do that. So yeah, I think I'm not a fan of the choices of black here, especially when there was a better monastery placement. Black could have gone over here for 3 points, controlling the city meeple. Now, black just places a road to try and block, but it's not a very effective block. It will require additional tiles. Even if you place an additional tile over here, there's still going to be 2 remaining in the deck that fit here. So you need to go over here, and it's quite a lengthy process. It's still probably the best use of a straight line that black had. And it forces a bit of a chickeny move from Pablo. Not that there's anything wrong with that necessarily, but instead of waiting for a city cap, he says, you know what, let me just try and continue the city like this, and then turn this into a bigger city with a bunch of Doritos, and make it a bit more of a high-risk, high-reward situation. So this city, a bit harder to complete, because it now, in all likelihood, will need 3 tiles, but if successful, it will give red a lot of points. And red is already 12 points ahead on the scoreboard. So this position is looking really good for red. Despite black's monasteries, black is in meeple trouble and will be so for quite some time. And in addition to that, the monasteries are quite hard to develop. Okay, that's an interesting move, which I also disagree with. So there's some advantages. The advantages are that Victor is immediately setting up a blocking platform against this red city, and red gets a tile which is not easy to deal with. The disadvantage is that black makes this square slightly more vulnerable. So ideally, the way you build up cities like this, you want to be filling this square first, and then the other squares. So the way the sequence works, it's this, and then the other squares here. But what do I know? Because Besson does draw the blocking tile. But interesting, yeah, so he does, of course, going to take the 2 points. Don't take the city, take the 2 points. Yeah, exactly. Not the chickeny move, the courageous move. Leaving a city, a 6-point city up for grabs, but you know, it's okay. It's a risk worth taking. It's not going to pay off. But it actually is going to yield some dividends, because look at this. So here, Pablo has to take the 6 points, because if you don't, your opponent will. But what this will do, this will give some nice compensation in the form of restricting the square. Even though there's nothing that fits here, and this meeple will never see the light of day, there was still an option for red to draw a tile that expands the city. For example, a Dorito with a road that he did draw right now, or even worse for black, a horse tile like this that would not only give extra 2 city points and a bunch of city squares to expand further, but also it would give this 5-point road to red, which is now not possible. So these 6 points that black lost is actually not that bad. Black's now building up his city on the left, his monastery at the same time, trying to get a couple of Doritos to get a meeple back and equalize the scoreboard. In the meantime, Pablo built up his city at the bottom. It's already going up to 7 points. Will get more for sure and could even get completed. Yeah, and he gets one more tile in it, now one more tile remaining. Besson will surely now try to block it, which he probably should. Tries to go from above. Pablo gets not the right kind of dagger, but he has a variety of options. He could go here and defend. But maybe as Pablo a move I would prefer is just going here and meepling the road. Because he's ahead 14 points on the scoreboard. Like, he doesn't even need to finish the city. He can just try and outrun his opponent with some quick points. Pablo is still thinking with the dagger tile. There are a variety of good uses for it. And the reason why I'm actually not such a big fan of the defense move is because we're running short on city caps with a turn anyway. So there are 2 of these guys. Wait. No, wait. So there's one. There's one of each kind of dagger. So actually there's no point in defending this square the traditional way, because if you turn the curve like this, there will be only one tile that remains. So actually, if you're gonna defend, you're better off meepling it. Yeah, you're better off doing it like this, leaving your chances to get you a starting tile. Which is why also I start questioning Besson's choice to block from above, because given the fact that there is only one tile remaining like this, it was better to block from the left, because with the same 2 tiles, if you would just turn them 90 degrees, if you go here and here, well, now there would be only one tile remaining that fits into that square, but in the position, as it is now, there's still 2 tiles, which, of course, needless to say, gives twice a greater chance for red to ultimately complete the city. Moreover, what's not ideal is that both platforms for creating further blocking platforms contain a piece of road. By the way, also Besson does draw the last dagger tile, and he does get punished quite severely for his tactical mistake, because it's make no mistake, it's not just a piece of luck. Of course, it looks very lucky to draw the tile that a red needs immediately, but had Black counted the tiles just a little bit better, just thought a little bit longer before blocking, and if he were to go over here, this meeple would have already been kaput. But instead it is alive and well, it comes back right into the Argentinian's hand, and it brings quite the present in the form of 18 scoreboard points. So the position now looks miserable for the Brazilian, especially after this move. 3 extra points, and now making it even harder to complete this city. Pablo now should recognize that it's difficult for him to lose the game, so instead of going over here, just make a move which prevents the disaster scenario. Just go here. Stop any ideas of Black trying to build up the city, because there's still one tile that goes there. And then just say, you know what, this meeple on the left can wait. You have minus 35 on the scoreboard and no meeples in hand. What you gonna do? Okay, yeah. Yeah, Wiseman is in the chat suggesting that with this tile over here, Pablo could have defended. So Pablo actually could have put a tile here himself like this to make sure that the two starting tiles still fit. But it's not something that I recommend doing in this situation, especially when you're a bit above on meeples. So very often, then instead of partially defending, so let's say if there are 3 tiles, 1 of one type and 2 of the other type, you can kind of partially defend your square to make sure that you still have 2 tiles that fit there. But then remember that it's 2 tiles instead of 3. So you're, on some level, actually reducing the number that fit of tiles that fit there immediately. And sometimes it's better to allow your opponent to make the 50-50 block, to make it so that only 1 tile fits there, but do it in such a way that it just forces your opponent to spend an extra tile. And in some situations it works out really well. So black does get a meeple back. Red just keeps the scoring onslaught with a 7-point road. Connects to the city of black at the top as well. Now he's going to use his meeple majority to meeple some fields, and it is looking quite painful for the Brazilian and any Brazilian fans that we have, but all is still not lost. There is an outside chance because this city is not blocked. And with a few good draws, if we just start drawing city tiles and red starts drawing road tiles all the time, and then if we finish this city, get some 2 road points, like 22 on the scoreboard, that's already something. You know, we can finish this monastery and then we can maybe give a fight. Oh, gotcha, Wise Maze. Yes, we're talking about 2 different blocking situations, but anyway, this is long gone. So, yeah, these situations, they really require, they require some knowledge and experience. So, like, when is a partial block a good thing? When it is worth to spend a move not on blocking, but just on creating a blocking platform? So it really, really depends on so many factors. Besson with a straight line. I feel like I've been saying this for quite a lot. So he does not really get the best tiles. Okay, so he used it to start a road, which makes sense. Pablo now finally blocks Besson's city at the left, which is absolutely worth the investment of a city cap. Victor tries to complete his monastery, but look what I was talking about. He's forced to invest a tile into a shared city. He's forced to spend valuable city tiles on 1-point moves, because any move that develops your monastery adds only 1 point. And now Pablo meeples a 9-point farm whilst continuing his road. He lost quite painfully the first game due to not meepling a farm in time. And even though I don't think he can really lose this one, he says, you know what, like, I'm not making that same mistake again. But that's good. Got to learn from your losses. The more painful the loss, the better the lesson. Pablo makes a nice blocking move. It blocks a shared feature, but what it really does block is the opportunity for black to get a straight line, meeple the road, then to get this tile, go over here, get an extra city point, and take over this 9-point road and get 2 meeples back. These are the sort of outside chances that black needs to be looking for, and red, as the player in the lead, all he needs to do is just to block these outside chances. And of course, another thing that red needs to do is not lose on time. He does have 2 minutes remaining, and of course they are regenerating every turn with this time control. Besson with a triangle gets 1 extra city point, And also, here's the thing, the city's probably going to be shared anyway, because he needs to get a Dorito to get his monasteries back. Pablo with more quick points. Plus 36 on the scoreboard. Yeah, exactly. Now Bisson gets the Dorito tile. So all those moves ended up not mattering because all the city points are shared. It does drop a farmer, which actually makes this move only a net 3, I believe. But still, 3 is better than 0. And 3 more points for a road as Pablo continues his road and drops another city cap in his field to potentially expand what's already a nice and juicy 9-point field. More quick points for Besson. Now making it somewhat close-ish on the scoreboard. And I'm being really generous here. And also kind of like, I just sense from the speed of his moves, maybe a little bit of tilt. So this is also part of a competitive play, like how do you avoid frustration in a situation like this? So this summer, when I went to Brazil, and met all these players and went to the national championship as well. I remember I had the conversation about kind of the mental aspect of the game, and one of the I believe like one of the best players in Brazil, Fernando Mejuto, asked me like, so like if we are in a situation where your opponent gets lucky tiles, like do you ever like curse, do you ever smash the keyboard or something like this? And I said, well no. And to him it was like incomprehensible. How could I possibly just accept something like this? Well, I mean, obviously, like I don't like it, but once you play so many games, then you sort of get used to sometimes skewed games like this. Sometimes you lose the game halfway, which obviously doesn't matter now. Well, the score is tied, and we start with a completely blank slate in game 3. So let's see what the difference is. Only 18 points. Actually felt like 50, honestly. Like the hopelessness. Yeah, so we have the same difference as in the last game. The last games felt kind of close-ish. But here, just like the hopelessness from the middle of the game. And yeah, I would definitely like Red got the slightly better draws, but overall I have to say that in the first game Black deserved to win, in the second game Red deserved to win as well. So there were certainly some, I think, strategical errors with, you want to start monastery, that's great, but Black started them in spots which are really hard to build, got into some meeple disadvantages, and then of course the big game deciding move is the blocking sequence, where if you just go block from the right, you get a better blocking chance than instead of blocking from above. So these seemingly small things, they can really make or break the game. All right, so the score is 1-1, and we are headed to the decider, which has not been created. I believe the players are taking a slight break. We will use this break to update the score board. I didn't see the chat. Okay, 2-minute break is the break. So maybe we should also take a break. And I'm gonna get us some hot water. Well, I'm gonna get myself some hot water, but hopefully you do the same. Alright, so see you in 1 minute. Alright, so the last game is indeed starting. The water is still boiling, but how could we possibly miss the start? And away we go. The last game of the night, and it will be the Argentinian to go first. And with the monastery, what a tile to start. 2 immediate points, but starting monasteries are great. It's the second best starting tile, probably after a shielded two-sider, because it just gives you so much spatial control in some situations. There are many situations where your opponent is forced to build on your monastery by adding points to you. Not quite in this situation, but it happens quite a bit. Besson the first to score city points. Pablo meeples the new city cap, preventing Besson from using this city cap. Now, not the easiest move for my dear captain here. I have a move in mind, and it's a very Brazilian move in its nature. He does the more cautious move, and I can certainly understand that. The disadvantage of this move is that invading a city like this can sometimes end you up in a losing mini battle when this guy builds up the cities at the top and then blocks the square, and then, well, then what? And then this guy gets stuck with 1 point, whereas this guy can develop for more points. It doesn't happen very often, but it happens often enough to make one not play these kind of moves if they're not completely necessary. Oh, and Pablo is taking this game in a very special direction as Besson cleans up the one remaining free city cap. Pablo is actually starting a fight for what's probably going to be a medium ruin or something. It's not very often that the city gets completed, so we're going to see how this developed. Yeah, so instead of this move, actually, as black, I probably would have just gone over here and meepled the farmer. It looks a bit weird, but there's actually quite a bit of merit to that, and I honestly expected this from Besson because this type of early farming is a very Brazilian thing to do, as we saw in the first match. Yes, Wiseman is exactly meeple on the field. Alright, so red builds up his monastery. Black now has a chance to... Well, he starts a new city, but I think slightly stronger was to go over here and take the 2 immediate points, because that would have also created the vulnerability against this square. Yeah, so generally I like when you get a tile like this, just because it has so many options, it is sometimes a common strategy to just use it to start a new city and forego the 2 points. But I like the 2 points so much because they're 2 guaranteed points. And look at this, and red is responding in kind, which in red case is definitely a mistake. The move was, of course, to take these 2 points over here. The only thing that red is doing is just creating a vulnerability. He's creating a 3-point road. Yeah, and he's also starting a new city. Imagine, like, he's starting a new city here. But when he's going to finish this city, then it will create a blocking platform against the square. So, I see the desire to build up a bigger city, but you can think about it like this. Like, a city cap is worth 2 points, because it usually results in a completed city. But if you just take 2 points immediately for the road, well, you get the same 2 points, except that you don't need to invest a meeple. Now Besson says, thank you very much. I'm going to take the 3-point road that you so kindly and nicely created for me. Slightly more of a scoreboard lead for Victor. A monastery for Pablo. And he's probably going to go here, and he does choose to place the last meeple. And Besson, now indeed, in true Brazilian fashion, is the first one to drop a farmer. He does give Pablo meeple back, but in this case it was totally justified, because Pablo is threatening after all. to get a Dorito tile and eat up this city altogether for 16 points. So certainly something that we want to prevent as black. And black has now really the chance to play out his temporary meeple majority to the max. There's one tile that I'm thinking that would be amazing for black, and that is a Dorito with a field. Because you could get to go over here, meeple this 9-point field, and then you can kind of have maybe even 3 9-point farmers with just 4 cities, which are all separated, so you have your farmers invested very well, but they never get connected, they're difficult to attack or invade, and it's a very efficient way of scoring points. I had one very just wipeout loss against Chile's Diego Acevedo with a screen named GDLK, when he managed, with just a couple of cities, drop a lot of farmers, then block all the farms so that I couldn't enter, and he ended up scoring 45 farming points in that game. That was just a casual game, I'll tell you, 2.5 years ago, but the effect was so much that I still remember every move to this day. Pablo, in the meantime, builds up his monasteries, and certainly red is looking pretty good. Besson with a slightly risky move, but I certainly can empathize with risk. So the reason why it's risky, starting a new city over here, is because if Pablo draws one of the 3 remaining crossroad tiles, he'll be scoring 3 points for the road and sticking in a road piece here, blocking this meeple permanently. But the Brazilian has calculated that is much more likely that he's going to draw a city cap here first, such as this one, before this ever occurs. For example, now actually a great move for Besson would be probably finishing this city still, but he could consider going here and meepling this road. That would be actually really nice. It's because that would set up the 4 remaining Doritos to fit here to finish his city. The road is 6 immediate points, and it controls 2 monasteries. The not ideal part about this is that it would be giving back quite a big field, because Pablo can maybe like finish a city and drop a farm immediately, but it's okay because Besson would still maybe be able to farm over here. So we would still end up with a position. Oh no, oh no, it is clearly and definitely a misclick. Like, I know Victor well enough that there's obviously no value in taking this meeple, other than you know, maybe getting like a splitter, because you'll say like if red gets a splitter, maybe red wants to go over here and take away this little part, but it's just so marginal. But Besson gets bailed out because he gets a very nice road meeple, but of course it's still very bad for him, because imagine if this meeple weren't here, then Besson would have been able to drop another farmer, and now Pablo is going to drop here another farmer. Then this move over here by Pablo is actually a very serious strategic mistake, because there's no way how this ruin is going to develop into something as meaningful as those big fields over here. So this is a complete waste of a meeple, if you ask me. And I think the reason why red made this move is that red just simply didn't find a better way to use this tile. Also, like, another quite shocking mistake by red. In a situation like this, you don't start a new city when there's a 9-point field. The move is to turn the city cap sideways and meeple the farm. We're way past, the scare of leaving empty city caps. Empty city caps are not a big deal, especially when black needs a city cap to finish his city. He's not gonna go for some 4 points. So yeah, so we saw one misclick, which is, I guarantee you, definitely a misclick. I can even imagine what kind of words just came out of Besson's mouth. And I can absolutely imagine the reaction of the people that are living with him. So yeah, he just needs to remain his composure. Maybe this 7-point road helped a little bit. Yeah, and okay, Pablo now does get a curve. This is also, by the way, really annoying move from Bisson as he's setting up to block one of these two squares. So, you know, like this city is not turning into something meaningful. He will ensure that. For example, how do we do that actually? It's a great question. Yeah, so red does indeed finally drop a farmer. Bisson could probably actually spend this tile as a blocking tile. Like going here and adding it to red is not crazy, despite the fact that it has a shield on it. He could maybe go here just to prevent this ruin from being completed, but I really don't like this move because that would be blocking that square, and there are some situations where this meeple actually might play. So if this square or this square is blocked, black might need to place a tile over here just to equalize this part of the ruin. So I don't think we need to place this tile anywhere near the city here. We can just score 2 points. Or we can go here or straight away here to try and mess with red. Because even a temporary restriction of meeple could go a long way. Thank you, Wise Maze, for suggesting yet another meeple for the barbed wire tile. Yeah, the versatile. Well, that's in Koki speak because it's a very versatile tile. But I think the first one to use this, not for this tile, but in general, was actually Crafty Raff. That was in one of my streams where he just, well, you know how Crafty Raff likes puns. That was 1.5 years ago, I believe. Yeah, so Bisson does indeed go over here, and okay, he does manage to block this city completely, but I'm not sure I'm such a big fan of this move. It kind of still gives chances for red to get something moderately nice. Generally, don't put tiles into features that are likely to belong to your opponent. Pablo finishes his city, does not drop a second farmer. Now Bisson connects the fields, but I have issue with that. Maybe it was time to wait a little bit because red has the temporary meeple majority. Red can go here and do some devastation. Yeah, honestly, a move here with the city cap could just clinch red the game. Because black, of course, well, he will still get his cities back, but this 12-point field, potentially a 21-point field, yeah, exactly, this is extremely painful. So Bisson needs to get a meeple back really, really soon. And, oh boy, is that not very likely to happen. Still 4 tiles that go here, some tiles that go here, but he needs to draw a city tile very, very soon. Hi, Polo Verde. Yeah, Nalaheim is saying, has he not learned anything from the previous game? Yeah, definitely Pablo took way, way too long to take this field. He got there eventually, but it is something that must have been done at least 2 moves prior to that. So the Argentinian playing with fire so far is doing fine, and I think he missed the chance a little bit. What Pablo should have done is taken this Dorito tile and turned it downwards to prevent a fields connection platform from arising. That would have been incredibly annoying. But what's annoying for black is that Pablo keeps getting the Dorito tile that black needs over here. Ouchie, and Pablo with a massive city cap move. Now going to, of course, go over here and take 7 points. 4 for the city, 3 for this farmer. Well, actually, there's a path back into the game, of course, for Victor. Finish these 2 cities and just equalize the field. And this should be enough. Okay, first city finished, goal achieved, temporary meeple majority gained. Almost equal on the scoreboard. Pablo with a extender tile. Not a great tile for Besson at all. Now he kind of needs to decide whether to place a tile over here. I'm not sure he should, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it's 10. Wait. Oh, okay, that makes sense. So this square is blocked. This square is kind of inconsequential. And then he equalizes that part of the ruin. There's some off chances of red maybe getting a Dorito plus triple city sequence. Actually, there's a way for red to climb into this ruin like this. But the reason why I still like this move is because that sequence is not all that likely. And also just black simply needs to be aware of it, and then black's going to be fine. Also good for black that he's drawing one of the 2 remaining starting tiles that fit into this square for red. So now only 1 starting tile remaining. So it's going to be quite a wait for red to get his meeple back, if he's ever going to get his meeple back. But one of the reasons why I liked connecting this ruin is, first of all, you're getting a couple of immediate points. And then after that, you're making sure that there is another big feature lying around. So with the temporary meeple majority that Besson has, with a certain run out of tiles, it actually might be more profitable to invade the ruin rather than invading the field, as the ruin is turning into something tangible. So for example, such a sequence such as a triple city tile plus a road Dorito. And that would be a great use for these tiles, which otherwise are not particularly beneficial for black. Black starts a new city, but Pablo immediately draws a tile that gives him a meeple back. And that's a huge strategic gain for the Argentinian. Tough, extremely tough position for Victor as a result of misclick. Pablo with the city tile. Now I'm going to go over here and score even more city and even more field points. Now even making a larger field potentially. Besson with some quick points on the left or over here or over here. We'll need to spend some time before making this move. We'll need to think how it is better to shape the board. Goes on the left to make sure that this move does not impact the board too much. Pablo with a curve. Does he connect the fields now, or does he find a way to drop a third farmer? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So only 2 crossroads remaining, which means that both sides will start potentially looking into these opportunities of dropping farmers like this and trying to ninja farmer in through the outside of a curve. Nalaheim is suggesting a third farmer on the right. Well, maybe like, I don't know, maybe the reason why he doesn't want to do farmers is because it could be blocked. Also exposes a field connection, so I don't know. But honestly, like at the moment, red doesn't need to stress out. Maybe on the left, here. Because the thing that Besson can do, he can actually invade the field at the bottom pretty easily. All that he needs to do is draw a curve, draw a farmer here, and then invade through the Dorito tile whilst completing his own city. There's still 2 of those left, so a 75-ish% chance, and regardless of the chance, he has to hope for getting one of the Doritos, because without the Doritos, he's just toast. Yeah, exactly. So if red draws a farmer here, if red drops a farmer here, then I think the game is pretty much over. Okay, and Besson is actually trying to prevent that, so he's maybe even thinking of another entry opportunity to the field through here. Maybe also hoping that Pablo can go here and kind of block that opportunity, but that would also protect Besson's city a little bit. But you know what Pablo can do? He can go here and open the option that I was talking about earlier of getting a back-to-back sequence of sneaking into that city. Actually, that would be a huge boost to Red's winning chances, but he does not see it. Instead, he goes for the blocking attempt. Besson sadly blocked his own farm, but he can still drop a farmer in some other places. Well, where? Maybe here. Hoping for a straight line. Are there straight lines? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes, there are a whole 3 straight lines. A bit risky because it could be blocked in some scenarios, but it's just something we'll need to live with. Farmer has been dropped. Pablo with a monastery. Will he go for a farming move himself? There's also another win path. It's just to outscore Besson. Hope that he draws the Dorito late, that he equalizes the field, but that Pablo's scoreboard lead keeps growing so that Black doesn't come back. But the thing why I really prefer dropping a farmer somewhere is because Black, with his newly recovered meeples from this city, he could actually get some nice farming opportunities. Pablo's still thinking where to place this monastery. So it's either a farmer here or a monastery with a meeple here. He goes for the farm. And also it creates a nice connection platform to the ruin, which at the moment only Pablo can benefit because he's the one with the meeples. Besson has to block this field connection now. Needs to count tiles. 1, 2, 3, 4. I guess we go here, leaving only one vanilla tile that fits into that square. A 50-50 block looks lucrative. If we go here, it's not really any better because that would leave 3 tiles available to hit here. Still, 1 minute and 39 seconds is enough time to figure this out. Only one of these guys remaining, no monasteries remaining, and the correct block from Besson. Pablo with a devastating crossroads that goes over here and cuts off this poor, hard-working farmer with just 2 acres of land that wanted to share in the big cooperative with this red guy. Will now be forced to stay here with 0 points. The same is the case with this farmer over here, but it's something that I'm pretty sure Pablo can survive. Especially since we now know that this farm at the bottom is impenetrable. And to rub it in, Pablo can still go for this move to hope for an extender plus a road Dorito sequence. And it's not a difficult move to see because it will be just adding 2 points to his city anyway. And then he can realize that if he just turns it there, it's possible to still connect. So that would be just add some extra. And he does this. He finds this technique. Besson finally gets his Dorito to get 2 meeples back, so he suffers the full damage from the misclick. Pablo gets the extender, and I believe he is going to go over here and now threaten a connection to this ruin as well. Or is there something better that he can suggest? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So the field is worth 21 points. This small one over here. Yeah, red does this indeed. So now Besson, like, the reason why this is so bad for Besson Oh, wait, never mind. So Besson, in order to win, he needs to draw the road Dorito, right? Because if red draws the road Dorito, then black is toast. So then what red needs to do is to set up a good use for road Dorito for himself, so that when he draws it, not only does he draw it, but also he gets to benefit from it himself. And a good way to do that is the good old Ninja Farmer connection. We go over here. This is the last crossroad, so we need not to be worried about blocks. Drop a farmer, get a road Dorito, get 4 points for the road, get into the main field, equalize the field, and then suddenly we're doing not so bad. Red, of course, still has these points from the ruin, but black is still going to have one meeple with which to try and do something decisive. Either to attack this ruin on the right somehow, which would, of course, would also require the road Dorito, because that's the last available Dorito, or, you know, maybe like attack the field with the third one. And he does understand that this is necessary. He's gonna drop a farmer on the right, Pablo, with a straight line, will probably start some sort of block, or maybe he can just choose to connect all the field, but this could get dicey real quick. The difference between this field and the main field is really not that great. It's actually just 3 points. So this field of red is 21. And he goes for the block. Besson with a city cap. He cannot defend. So I think he just needs to wait and hope that red does not have a blocking tile. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There are no regular curves remaining. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ooh, there's some daggers. There's some daggers. So maybe we go here and meeple the city? Is that crazy? No, he goes up top, tries to block. Now Pablo's gonna go here. Pablo actually really should go here. Because what this does, it then forces Besson to draw both the Dorito to prevent this connection and the one remaining dagger that goes over here. The Brazilian will have only 2 moves after this. There are 4 tiles remaining in the deck. So there are 2 daggers, 1 road Dorito, and something else. Besson gets the road Dorito. And what should he do now? I think maybe just meepling this 6-point road could work. Or maybe meepling this 4-point ruin whilst also blocking this invasion. No, we don't need to block anything. Yeah, I think the move is just we meeple this. We hope for the dagger. We end up with 3 more field points, 6-point road, 2 on the field. So that's 11. And red is going to have 7 here. And red will need to find 4 more points, which is not necessarily given. Oh, but red will find. Red will take these 5 points and take this road and win the game by 1 point, unless red a mistake. If red misses and make a 4-point move instead of a 5-point move, maybe red is going to just go here, then the game will be a tie, in which case the win will be awarded to Besson because of the new tiebreaker rule. It was the Brazilian who was the second player. So the move that gives Victor any chance is exactly this. Meeple in the 6-point road, he recognizes it, but the dagger tile goes to Pablo, and he takes 4 points, and this poor guy will not be connecting to the farm. It will be a plus 24 or something, only a measly straight line for Besson, and a sad loss. The other dagger tile goes here, so Pablo could have used it here anyway. But maybe if you were to make a mistake, if you were to go here maybe and take 4 points, that was an option. And in that case, the game would have been tied. So it was actually really, really close until the end. Crafty is asking, why did black not attack the big city at the right? Because... Well, because I think black was correct. Because the city at the right is not worth enough points. It's inferior to the field. So actually, Besson's real chance was attacking the field, scoring points for the road, and just dropping and just getting the Dorito. Yeah, because that's sometimes the thing with the big features. Like, it doesn't necessarily matter how exactly points there are. It matters only how many points there are compared to somebody's scoreboard lead or compared to somebody's field and so on and so on. So black wouldn't really gain anything from here. And he didn't also really have a tile to attack, I believe. Because he drew the Dorito before he drew... Well, actually, he didn't draw the dagger in the first place anyway. Yeah, so he didn't really draw any tile to attack, as far as I remember. Malaham is saying Besson could attack both the ruin and the field. But then in that case, I believe that attacking the ruin doesn't actually give him that much, no. Because he can win with just the quick points from this road. So it also depends on like how far early in the game you're referring to. Okay, with the simple... with this one. No. Not at that time, I believe. Wait, okay, you need to remind me. Was this City Cap after this move or not? If this were after this move, if this were after the road move, then actually attacking the ruin makes a lot of sense. Because we need to draw the... Wait. It makes a big difference. Okay, so... Okay, first of all, if this tile was drawn by Besson after this road placement, then we know already that we need the dagger here, and we already know that we need the road Dorito, because we need the road Dorito for red not to connect. Then, of course, it makes sense for us to go over here. Then we can just get more points from the Dorito, get this tile over here, and, you know, there's a classic, 16% winning chance. But if this tile was drawn before this road move was made, then it makes a big difference because then we still need the Dorito to connect to the field, rather. And then after that, we might have another meeple to, I don't know, to do something else. Yeah, so, okay, half of you are saying after, half of you are saying before, so which one is it? I kind of forgot. I felt like it was one move before. I felt like I think Pablo got the straight line. Yeah, and then Besson didn't get a defense. He went there, and then Pablo went there. And then I believe at this time, we can't actually attack the ruin just yet, because we still need the Dorito to connect to the field. It's only after this square is committed to the dagger, then we need the Dorito somewhere else. So as for this move from Besson, I actually kind of like it. I'm not sure about the orientation, so we can quibble about that. Yeah, probably turning this there. Okay, it doesn't really necessarily sort of matter that much. I don't think it's... Actually, all moves are probably symmetrical there. And the idea behind this move is that in some scenarios, we might get the Dorito, then... No, we might get the dagger, then we block the square, then on the penultimate tile, our opponent gets the Dorito, which they can't use over here, and then after that, we make normal scoring moves. And then we will like win the game by 1 point if we get to take advantage of this road as well. So that was a realistic scenario, and I think probably doing a little bit something with this square, because allowing some winning chances, even in some scenarios where your opponent does get the Dorito, I think that could work well. Yeah, okay, so the timing was indeed correct. Okay, so we can't use the Dorito for the field connection. Ooh, that's a great point. I was going to address this. So from Besson's perspective, when we have this city cap, we know, if we're both counting tiles, that with every possible tile that Pablo could possibly have in hand, he either is going to have the Dorito, which of course immediately wins him the game, or he's going to have a tile which either blocks this farmer completely, or he's going to have a straight line which restricts this farmer towards a city cap, sort of towards a dagger. And this is what happened in the game. And so Black, when he gets this tile, he knows that on the next move, I'm either getting blocked, in which case I don't think I can really win, or best case scenario, I'm getting restricted. And it's actually, this is what happened. So if I'm getting restricted, I might as well use the Dorito elsewhere, because now after the next move, I will need both the Dorito for my opponent not to connect, and this tile over here, and the dagger. But first of all, it's something that's extremely hard to figure out. And second, even if you figure it out, the assumption is that your opponent also does perfect tile counting. And maybe you could hope that if your opponent gets the straight line, they might make a mistake, because they might not want to block over here, thinking, well, it's not a complete block, it's not worth doing. But from Red's perspective, blocking is the only correct move. Doing anything else would be a mistake, because almost all remaining tiles are curvy tiles that would allow Red, Black an immediate connection. And the one remaining tile, which was not a curvy tile, was another straight line, which sort of doesn't really do nothing much for Black. So in that sense, it's definitely, I think, would be worth doing. But the other question is, at that point, is this really our only winning chance or not? If our opponent has a straight line, which is a decent chance. Because maybe if we just, yeah, you know what? Because, yeah, man, that's interesting. Because I'm just thinking, like, what's better? Hoping for both this tile and the Dorito to invade, or hoping for this tile plus a blocking chance over here? And I feel that actually invading Ruin on the right might be the higher winning probability. But again, that move is predicated on us thinking that our opponent will play perfectly. And we're playing against a human, so that's the thing. It's like, we also need to factor this in our winning chances. Like, objectively, invading the ruin probably is the best move. And then we hope for two things. Wait, or still is it? Because if we have a meeple to score 4 quick points over here, then we still win by 1 point or something. On the other hand, if we invade the ruin, then the sequence in which we draw tiles doesn't matter that much. because we can draw maybe the Dorito first, as what happened in the game, and then the dagger later, and then if we invade the ruin, well, we don't really need the extra 4 road points. But actually, now that I think about this further, I think that invading the ruin still doesn't help us, because we still need to draw the dagger tile before we draw the Dorito. Okay, let's think about this. So they go here, we invade. We try to invade. Then, on his penultimate tile, Pablo is going to start a blocking attack. Either here with a straight line, or like with the other kind of dagger. Because there were, one of each. Right? There was this one. So then, if Pablo starts an attacking tile, and we draw the road Dorito, well, we have to use now the road Dorito to connect to the city, which means that we cannot defend. Which means that if we draw the dagger as the last tile to connect, then Pablo has enough time to block. So actually attacking ruin on the right with perfect play does not help us to win afterwards. All right, so now let me check the chat. Craft Giraffe is saying, poor Besson, he will have nightmares from this one. Yeah, and also the thing White I think will be really unpleasant for him is because he lost. Okay, I need to tell you the story. In the opening match of this season of Carcassonne Brazil Team Championship, we were playing a newer team which called Carcafrangos, which means like Carca Chickens. I don't know why they decided to call themselves. And I wasn't lined up. I forgot who the other 2 players were, but the games are 3 versus 3, and Besson was one of the players. And he was playing the decider, the usual decider. It was like 1-1, everything was tied. So that was the game which decided the fate of the entire match. And the way he lost that game was by misclicking on his very last tile. I think it was like, it was either me, it was like me playing a, I think, like a 3-point field instead of 4-point road or something like this. But also he saw that move, he put the tile in the right place, it's just he misclicked, and then instead of winning this game by 1 point, he ended up losing by tie. So it was that close. So that was an extremely painful moment, which also caused our team to lose. And here to lose another misclick on a misclick, then I just have to say, I'm glad I'm not Besson's mouse right now, because I can imagine what he must have done to it at this point. Craft Giraffe is saying, I actually trust my opponent's tile counting more than my own. Well, I hopefully that depends on who you're playing. By the way, I'll reveal you a secret. Because of that, sometimes I bluff. Especially if my opponent is short on time. Although I've told this on my channel before. So basically, if I have something like a straight line, or a tile which I can really extract no value from, then what I might do, maybe I might just go and create a blocking platform against a city of my opponent which is already blocked, so that they hope that I think that can still be saved, and they try to spend a move, sometimes sacrificing points to save that meeple, which is already lost. And sometimes it works. So Wiseman is saying that from your point of view, Besson probably shouldn't have gone over here. Yeah, but that's a really tricky one. Because like red could, this is also like assuming that your opponent's gonna play his best. Because I think red had plenty of chances, and red could have just put this game away by dropping a third farmer at any point. And this move from black was kind of assuming that red was going to do that. So I can certainly understand this idea. Maybe it was better to just wait and then get a curve and drop a farmer here ourselves as black. But then red going over here was also a big threat. Yeah, so when you're behind, you kind of really need to balance between what are objectively best moves and what are moves sort of like, and to which point, to what extent you should hope for your opponent's mistakes. Okay, wait. What's not correct? Okay. Oh, so many messages. Let me just see. Yes, you're describing the sequence exactly as I did. Oh yes, Crafty. There are plenty of puns in Brazilian team chat going on. Yeah, I do believe we're talking about the same thing again. Okay, I'm pretty sure. Okay, the sequence was this. Correct me if I'm wrong. Black drops here. Red goes here to create a blocking platform. Black goes here. Red goes here, and so on and so on and so on. Yeah. Hi, Victor. My sincere commiserations. Obviously, we all understood that this move over here was a misclick. Oh yeah, so I kind of glossed it over a little bit, but just to show you like how far-reaching the consequences were. It's not just the fact that black was forced into a temporary meeple minority for a long time before drawing this Dorito. So first of all, by accidentally placing a meeple over here, we are like relinquishing this road. We got lucky that we drew a road end before red, and we managed to get those 7 points. But because we didn't place a meeple here early, and because our meeple here was tied up, we were not able to use this tile to drop a 12-point farmer ourselves. And because we were not able to do that, red was able to drop the farmer. And red would just use his temporary meeple majority to take control of that field as well, and we really couldn't do anything about it. So, yeah, so basically, it's as usual, like one click is definitely separates the win and the loss, because if we go here, we finish the road, we drop a farmer, I think red has just an incredibly hard time. And then we have an extra meeple. Red maybe goes here on a farm still. Then we just take a curve, equalize, and we wait for the Dorito because only one meeple is tied up over here, and black wins. So yeah. Anyway, but of course we still need to congratulate Pablo on this win, and he did still like a lot of stuff that helped him win. For example, what I really liked was this move over here, the crawling technique with the extender and the Dorito trying to eat up all those cities going through the outside. And what this did, it created a final scenario where in order to win, black needed not one tile, but 2 tiles, and in a particular sequence in order to win. So this seeming crawling thing, it's actually made a huge difference for the winning probabilities, and in the endgame, the tile sequence predictably did favor the play with the red meeples. So yeah, so sadly we will need to say goodbye to Besson in this tournament, as it will be his second loss. And as for Pablo, he will be going on into the lower brackets, into the next round of the lower bracket of qualification 3, but it's still not a bed of roses when it comes to things that we need to do. So first of all, so Pablo's going to be here. He will need to defeat either LSC or Devaka, both really strong players. And Devaka recently a master as well. And then after that, the reigning Mind Sports Olympiad gold medalist Krishna will be waiting for them in the lower semifinals. And then after that, they will need to play either pablobce or Siegfried or Exitacucho traps. So whoever of them loses this match over here. So it's still quite an uphill climb for Pablo, but at the very least, he's still in it. Victor is saying, I think I should invade from the right, unifying the fields. I don't think there was really a tile to do that. Well, I think this invasion was best. Yeah, so, because the thing what this invasion does, it allows for productive use of the Dorito tile, and extra 4 points and stuff. Maybe for referring earlier, this farm I'm also fine with. It actually doesn't really get blocked very often. Because what you're hoping here, you're hoping to draw, what was like 4 tiles before 2. So black is the favorite to invade here. Because with a straight road, you can just invade straight up. Or with the crossroads, you can invade here with a Dorito and extra points. Yeah, I don't really think there was a good way to invade from the right at any particular point. Pablo could have responded. Yeah, I'm not sure exactly which field attacks this made. I think it's also getting late in many parts of the world, which are not South America. So we probably might leave it there. I mean, the real issue, of course, is all very, very well known. Very, very interesting game. Other than that, you know, big farms, blocked meeples, crawling cities. I mean, what else do we want? So then, before we wrap up, just wanted to share with you plans for tomorrow. There are some, and for the entire weekend. Let's just go here and see who's next is playing. Yeah, so earlier today, we had these results. Those of those we already saw. We even managed to catch a glimpse of this match, which I'm not gonna spoil for those of you who are just joining. Tomorrow at 19:30 UTC, I'm planning to stream Meeple over People versus Larpatori, because I have already streamed a game of 71 Knives, although we will be looking at those a little bit. Then I will not be waking up for this one at 7 UTC. Then on the 14th, our European afternoon, and I guess South American early afternoon too. Gonna have 2 matches, Big Nacho versus Locuelo, so another Argentinian, and the Chilean Vladimir versus the Mexican Daniel. And finally, on the 15th, the Q4 match between the Taiwanese player with the screen name Miss Penguin and another Argentinian. Lots of Argentinians in this tournament. They're just very good at winning tournaments, apparently, in order to qualify. This will be our match on the day and maybe some others will appear. But so far, this is the main plan, so stay tuned. Players tend to submit their time at a very short notice, so my streams will also be set up at quite a short notice. Okay, let's just do a bit of analysis. So It was 3-2 at 15 tiles left, roughly 65% chance of connecting. Only 55. Okay, so there was one crossroads remaining, yeah? Well, wait, if there's one crossroad, no. If there's one crossroads, wait, but there were 3 straight lines. Or are we talking about a different field connection? Okay, so there were 3 straight lines, yeah. And the crossroads, which is also good for black. And red needed to draw... No, there were 2 crossroads. Obviously, there was this and there was this. And there were these straight lines. So it's a 5-2 rather than 3-2. Because black can also use the crossroads as well. Intuition tells me it has to be definitely more than 55. I don't know. Yeah, it has to be. Because we don't even need the straight line, because connecting to this bit is enough, because then we'll be connecting at the bottom, and it doesn't really matter whether we connect to the top or the bottom. Well, anyway, even with 55, honestly, decent chance to drop the meeple. Ah, okay, makes sense. Yeah. 68% makes way more sense. That intuitively, this is what I would expect. And 55, 3 versus 2, that also makes more sense. Okay, yeah, 68's then probably definitely worth the investment. Alrighty, then we will be wrapping up. Oh, I guess let's just update the score, because I sometimes forget to do that at the end of matches. Wait, wishful thinking, sorry, of course I was rooting for my captain, but still credit goes to Pablo, who did win and will advance. And now I will see you tomorrow evening, European evening, for some more matches. And until then, make sure to meeple the like button if you like this video. Subscribe in case you're here for the first time. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you soon.